And so with that, let's adjourn the meeting. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. First up, let's start off with the oath of office for our new student representative. So please stand. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. And I'm going to pause to let you fill in your name. So, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, and the laws thereof, and the policies of the South Lane School District. During my term, I will faithfully and impartially discharge the responsibilities of the office of School Board Student Representative. To the best of my ability. Thank you. Okay, before we move on to the consent agenda, I'd like to read the greeting. Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the South Lane School District Board of Directors. Thank you for taking time to attend. For clarity, I would like to remind those in attendance that this is a board meeting that is held in public, which is not the same thing as a meeting with the public. As such, the board does not engage with audience members, which can feel awkward at times, but is the process prescribed in law. The board is not required to set time aside to hear comments from the public. The board wishes to hear from community members, so there will be a public comment period after the consent agenda. Speakers who wish to address the board must sign up before the meeting using a sign-up sheet outside the boardroom or by contacting the district office. The board chair will recognize each speaker for a period of 3 minutes. We ask that speakers be seated at the designated table, clearly identify themselves, and state whether they reside within the district before speaking. That's a change. You used to have to give your address. If multiple speakers are presenting on the same topic, please select one person to represent the group. Please note that the board is not allowed to hear comments about any individual or comments deemed in violation of policy AC non-discrimination. If a person begins to comment about either of these protected areas, the board chair will ask them to stop and they must end their comment at that time. Furthermore, policy KL public complaints states the board will not hear personal complaints concerning school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. To do so could expose the board to a charge of being party to slander and would prejudice any necessity to act as the final review of administrative recommendations regarding the matter. Thank you. And with that, we are on to the consent agenda. Yes.
Daddy, I sent an email this afternoon requesting that the policy BDDH portion of the consent agenda be removed, and so we can have some further discussion on it.
Okay. So be it. So do I hear a motion?
Not sure I need a motion. It's Robert's rules only one.
No. Do I hear a motion for the other 3 items?
Oh, gotcha. Let's clarify that. We're looking for a motion on the remaining 3 items.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All right. All in favor of items 1, 3, and 4 of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. So do we boot BDDH after public comment or before? Okay.
Robert's rule says we can move it wherever you feel we need to move it. I'd like to move it to a work session.
Okay, so with that, we'll get to, I put that in section 7, administrative reports after the Parks and Recreation distance one. So moving on to public comment, first up, we have Susan Long.
My name is Susan Lawn. I've lived in this community since 1980. Moved here when I was 15, so I finished my last 2 years of school here. So that's about 44 years. I have moved away and worked other places and done other things, but I came back here and raised my family in this school district. And I just want to express tonight how disappointed I am in the things that are going on in our district right now. It's upset a lot of us. I think there's a majority of us that are obviously speaking up, and the other room is very full, and we feel like our children are being messed with and threatened, and I just feel like, I don't know, boards everywhere are trying to not take our children away, but do things without us being aware of them. So anyways, I just want to express that I'm just really disappointed in the way things have been handled lately with the with certain things that have passed that shouldn't have. And I just want to express that we are forming a team. We have 262 at this point, and we have more coming signatures for a petition to work that through. So I just want you to be aware of that. And I don't know, just be aware of that. We don't want to, we want to come to some type of an agreement that we can all agree on to represent our children in the various schools, especially in our elementary schools. I'm not happy with the curriculum that I've seen online. I have my grandchildren in school now here. And I just want to express that I will be stepping up for that and speaking strongly with my opinions on that. And I think a majority of this community will be doing that. And I thank you for your time.
It's my understanding I have 3 minutes. Yes? Okay, all right. So my name is Jennifer Powell, and yes, I'm a resident in the district. And here we go. According to Merriam-Webster, a bully is a person who treats someone in a cruel, insulting, threatening, or aggressive fashion, or tries to cause someone to do something by means of force or coercion. A bigot is devoted to their own opinions and prejudices and regards or treats the members of a certain group with hatred and intolerance. It is the culture of bigotry and bullying within our schools and wider community that I wish to address. Starting about 5th grade, it became almost impossible to get my son on the bus in the morning to attend Bohemia. I found out he was being bullied at school, so I told the staff. They were responsive, but nothing really changed. He's living with his grandmother now so that he can attend school elsewhere. I can't send my son to CG. This was my daughter's senior year there, and the bullies pushed her out. She'll finish high school at Al Kennedy. Both of my children are kind, sensitive, empathetic people, and they have both been bullied. You may think this is isolated to our family, but as a school district employee, I have seen too many kids and adults over the years who share a similar story. Most recently, the bullying of a trans educator in our district has caused fear for staff personal safety and stress for staff and students. It has stolen inordinate amounts of time from many people. The culture of bullying and bigotry has caused deep fractures, mental distress, low performance, lowered attendance, and frustration and hopelessness. Within our schools, staff cares and staff tries. We do our best to address it, but it's been difficult to be effective. The good news is that the change we've needed for so long is finally beginning to happen under the current leadership. The need in our schools to transform culture has finally been recognized. Now, there are people in town who are unhappy about this. They held a meeting at the public library on January 3rd, a meeting specifically designed to tear down current leadership and end what has begun. And so I want to be very clear tonight. It is only I who sit here in person, but I am speaking for many, many people. People at Al Kennedy, Dorena, London, CG, Lincoln, Harrison, and Bohemia. We are so tired of bullying and bigotry. We stand in support of current leadership. We are excited about the changes that are happening in our district, and we are relying on current leadership to continue. We are relying on you, our school board, to ensure that it does. We believe we can create a culture where we all work together toward common goals. We believe our schools can become communities that truly lift everyone up. We believe that this is the better way. Thank you. I have a longer version of this with that expands and has some thoughts for contemplation that I'll make sure all of you get a copy of. I do hope that you take the time to read it. Thank you.
Next up, we have Melissa Lanham. Is she in the other room, perhaps? Tell you what, we'll come back to her if she is in the other room. Next up, we have Heather Bonstead. Bousted, thank you.
Hi. I'm Heather Bousted. I live in town too. I wasn't actually planning on speaking, so I didn't write down my thoughts. So I'm here as a community member, being involved and becoming aware. And I'm happy to see so many people showing up. This is good. I feel like this is a good thing for community to have so many people be involved, because when more of us are involved, of course, it's going to be a better place. So there are concerns. There are concerns that I did sign the petition as a no confidence vote, and it was because of I feel like I'm showing up kind of late. It's been a few years now where I've watched from the outside. I have kids. I have 7 kids in this school grandkids at this school age here. What we're seeing and really feeling is that there's so many there's just so much of what's going on in the school district that feels like it's really out of touch with the feelings of our community during the lockdowns, the lockdowns went so long. There was so much of what was coming down from so much control from the teachers union made us unhappy. I think the most upset that 3 people on our really good teachers were pushed out of our district, fired for not complying with a vaccine mandate. And now look at us now, what those vaccines look like. And I really feel like we did the wrong thing and the wrong thing. And it wasn't done honestly either. It felt like that was not well done. So part of my angst about what's going on is that I'm listening to mothers and fathers and people in our community not feeling represented by you people, the board or the school or the staff at the school district. So, and what I want to see is more involvement. I really would like to put a plug in for this tiny amount of people here. There's so many more. I think it's really time we graduate, because I think that this is a good thing. More people want to be involved. So I think it's time to move to a larger venue. I really think it's time to put that on we have many places that we could meet in this district. We're not bereft of larger rooms. So time for that. And I think I'll just say one thing that I know the person wasn't going to talk, but I just listened to someone earlier today say, I just don't feel, I almost feel like now it's becoming almost, our school district is so careful about a small group of people that it almost feels like there's a reverse, what's that word? Just now it feels like people are not having their rights aren't being looked after. Just
Okay,
people.
we're over time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Melissa Lanham.
Hi, my name is Melissa Lanham. I live on South Street here in Cottage Grove. While I do believe this is a very dehumanizing experience to come to my local school board meeting and be shunted into another room where the audio is really bad and the faces can't be seen like I'm seeing you now, I urge you to move to another venue where this will feel like a community meeting for the commentary part and for the whatever you called it earlier, open board meeting or things you're going to discuss, so that we can see you in person and speak to you in person and see each other who have come here to speak. Also, I want to express my disappointment in policy that has been made by this particular school board, and just the overall, I don't want to use prejudicial language, but I'm very concerned about what I am hearing and what children are being taught or not taught. And I'm also disappointed that you can't just come and freely speak at a board meeting. You have to never address a human or any human that's employed. So I feel like that automatically limits what can be said, and it's a form of censorship. And I just want to express that, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Next up, we have Sherry Yoss. She in the other room too, perhaps?
Yeah.
I'm sure she's here. And then Tawny Lowry, I believe that says is next, so. Hey, Sherry. Welcome.
I'm Sherry Yoss. I live at 707 Shields Lane in Cottage Grove. And I feel like that getting here, being one of the first ones at the door, and we can't get into this room is a form of prejudice against us. How did this room get filled once the doors were open and none of us be able to get? That back room is completely full of people who are unhappy. And most of them appear to be of the same voice. So I feel like that voice was set in the back room where you couldn't see our faces. You couldn't read how upset we are. And I want to tell you that we started that petition last Wednesday night. We have over 260 votes. We have 2 churches that are filling those pages full. People are coming in. We're going to hit 2,000 easy. And that's a large percent of our population. And they all feel the same thing. They're all telling me the same stories, how they don't feel like they're being represented. And you guys need to listen to them, because I hear so many people coming in each day. Like, they're not happy. And I don't know if you guys realize how unhappy they are, but they are unhappy and they feel like they're being discriminated against. It's not, we want to teach our children not to discriminate, but we feel like our children are being discriminated against, and you guys need to do something about it. Thank you.
And last up, we have Tawny Lowry. I thought I saw her here a minute ago, so. Tawny? Welcome. Please take a seat, state your name and whether or not you're a resident of the district. And
Hi, my name's Tawny Lowry. I am a resident within the district. I've lived in Cottage Grove virtually my whole life. I went through the school district here. And oddly, on my way here tonight, I looked at my Facebook memories. And I think it was 6 years ago today, I spoke at a meeting also. And during that meeting, I had the overwhelming feeling, as well as I think most of the people in here, that we, the community and the parents, did not matter. That the board was going to do what they wanted to do regardless of what we said. And I really hope not to have that same feeling today. I would also like to talk about the bullying within our district. I believe what the previous speaker said about what bullying means and the definition is absolutely true. Now, given that, I think she has a different opinion on how we are being bullied. I have 2 sons that go to school enrolled right now. My sons are white. They don't have any ethnic origin. They don't have any disabilities or differences to make them stand out. I've had several issues within the district, and my boys are 9 and 12. So, I mean, things will happen. They're kids. My older son's in middle school, and I really appreciated, honestly, how they handled it. However, it is really difficult to explain to a 12-year-old boy that everybody else can express their beliefs and their opinions, but he cannot. In fact, today he got a referral because running out the door, he didn't change his hat. and he wore a hat that said mixing gas and hauling ass. He's a 12-year-old boy, and at home I allow that. Now, if it was any other situation and at his previous school, I would not let him wear a hat to school. But the rules at Lincoln is that they can wear a hat, and I don't, that's what he wants to do. That's fine. Well, he got a referral because he was told to take his hat off, and he politely said, no, thank you. In his mind, and he's expressed this to me multiple times, things can be, there are girls that wear crop tops and spaghetti straps and underwear for shorts. There are other children that can wear their beliefs on their shirt, whatever they want to believe. There are teachers that express themselves in many different ways, and he can't have ass on his hat. It is really difficult to tell him that it's okay for them to express their beliefs, no matter how offensive they are to him. But his language on his hat is too offensive, and to the point where he feels if he's not wearing a hat, he is mocked or laughed at or bullied. And if he has to cover it up, it's like putting a scarlet letter on him.
Okay, we're over time. Thank you, Tom.
Well, I hope that you guys see that I don't believe it's the teacher's fault. I don't believe it's necessarily within the school staff, but I think it comes down from the administration. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to reports and discussion. We have the student representative report. There's so many to choose from, so whoever wants to go first.
You guys hear me now? We're good? All right. So our BIPOC Student Union, we met and discussed a mural location at AKHS campus that students will design and paint with the help of local Native artists. The students went on a field trip on December 7th and 8th to tour the Southwestern Oregon Community College and got to see the Christmas lights displayed at Shore Acres State Park. Teachers and administrations are busy working on our accreditation process. And that's pretty much all that's going on. We got pictures for you guys. What's going on.
Okay, thanks, Kane. And Cottage Grove High School is well represented tonight, so decide amongst yourselves.
Okay, my name is Hayes Valley. So our boys basketball team went 2-1 over winter break at a tournament held at Staten High School. They beat Gladstone and Klamath Union. The girls swim team this last Friday won a dual meet against Crater and Marshfield, where the boys took second place. The girls basketball team, they're on a 4-game winning streak currently and are ranked 10th in the 4A district. They have a game tomorrow night, so if you'd like to join. It's been canceled. I thought that was the 6th. Oh, okay. There is no game tomorrow night. Um, FBLA stands for Future Business Leaders of America, and our FBLA team will be competing for regionals on the 29th of this month. We'll be skipping a day of school. Well, skipping. We'll be leaving a day of school and we'll be going to a middle school an hour and a half away, and we'll be competing in those events. The electronic media class taught by Jaden Tucker released a show for the holidays called The Main Event. As a class, we produce and share these with the school many times in a year. And if you would like to watch the show, it is on YouTube and you can visit it and you can watch it on the Young Dreams Media account.
And I'm Victor, the other student body representative. And in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day coming up next week, we are currently creating a Unity Week to further spread positivity throughout the Cottage Grove High School and embracing that we can all come together as a collective and as a community to recognize each other's differences and to see each other. And currently we have some activities going on to show what people have gone through and how everyone is connected in some way. And we have gotten some guest speakers to speak to our assembly to really show off the culture in Cottage Grove High School and throughout the community. That's about it.
That is all.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much. And then OSEA representative report. It's online or in the other room or,
No, it's not.
okay.
I'm online. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, good evening. First, I'd like to thank all of the school board members for all of their time and efforts that you put in support of our students and staff. And then as a collective, we would just like to remind you as we prepare to begin the bargaining process for our new contract at the end of this month, we encourage you as a board and the district to remember the words that you've spoken many times regarding classified staff in this district. You've said we value you and could not operate our schools effectively or efficiently without all of you. These words are so very true. Without classified employees, there would be no transportation for students, no meals served to students, no small group instruction, no recess supervision, no technology support, no language support, health assistance, office staff, and support staff, and our schools could not be cleaned or maintained. The list goes on. Classified staff are definitely vital to the day-to-day operations of this district. When you think ahead to the budget for the next school year and you look at bargaining items requested, please don't forget these words. Please remember what we bring to the table as classified employees: dedication, loyalty, and commitment to serving our students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And then we have SLEA. Ah. Snuck up on you.
Really quick. Oh. Good evening. Is it on? Anyway, just since last time I was here, we got all of our report cards out. Kids have come back and kind of gotten readjusted, and we're kind of mid benchmark testing, doing all our academic testing. And then we have parent conferences coming up in about 4 weeks. So those are the things we're working on. Things are running pretty smoothly because we've been off a lot and I haven't heard from everybody, but nothing really major or glaring coming up. So I look forward to a good productive year with the district and the board. And I did just want to say that we support the OSEA in their contract, and everything they said was absolutely true. So I support their contract and the bargaining process. And I think that's it for me today. Thank you. Yeah, I have not heard of any problems and we're just about to have the brand new system go live. And so I haven't heard of any issues at this point.
Okay, my microphone was off. I asked how were the payroll issues? So that was the last letter we got from you. Thank you.
Yeah, as far as I know, the payroll's going fine and we're having our first full live version of the new system. And as far as I know, everything's going smoothly with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to administrative reports and discussions, superintendent update.
Okay, we've just had a few days actually that we've been back, but January 2nd was a professional development day and time for staff to work in their buildings and get ready for school to start. It was a great time to be back together. We are in the process of working through the steps of moving from trimesters to semesters. And so there are several reasons for doing that, but mostly to make sure that kids can get their full credits. The way trimesters don't quite work with our CTE and other courses. It seems to be something that most staff so far are saying this is a no-brainer, but Brian is putting together a committee of staff at all levels to work through all the transition things that we need to do. There's multiple steps to doing that. Just wanted to let you know that it's happening and that there will probably be a few adjustments to the calendar because of it, just because we the way we even out the days and then put in grading days and those kinds of things. So there will be more to come when we're ready to do that. But we just notified staff, I think right before the break, and we're just now getting names. Oh, right after the break. We're just now getting names for the committees. I think I let you know last time that we had received an OCR complaint for our website not being fully accessible for people with vision impairment. And we had been given a certain amount of time to work on it, make the changes. In the meantime, the website vendor that we use notified us that they sold to another company. And when we met with the new company, they were very helpful, offered to give us, it's called Audio Eye. We're getting at a reduced rate, which actually helps with those vision impairments. And when we move to the new website, we will actually be a step above what the federal government is requiring us to be. Our concern was, are we going to make these adjustments and then make them again? Because sometimes you lose things in the transition. And they've been very helpful in working with us. They've given us, we're going to continue to do the person who is doing the audit of our pages will continue to do the audit. We'll continue to make corrections like on PDFs and things like that that we need to do. And he's working on identifying all the areas where we need to train staff who actually put things on the website. And then they've given us an extension to moving all those other accessibility tools to that next level and are allowing us to do it with the transition to the new site. So they'll be working with the OCR and the other person that's helping us right now. So that was good news because it was feeling like we were going to do a lot of work and a lot of training, then it was all going to change again. So this helps us not have to do that. Our finance and HR software conversion is going very well. Thank you to our entire team, as well as Tyler Technologies, who's worked really, really closely with us, has been very helpful at every step of the way, helped us put together a plan where, and I think Celia might speak a little bit more to it. We're still in the process because there's some HR pieces that we're going to add. But the first step was with payroll. We've been running in December, we ran payroll side by side on both systems so that it could be tested, and we have several people testing it. And then we're going to do the same thing again in January. So if there are some questions that come up, we'll have the other system that has a way for us to fix things immediately. So also, we've done a lot of training with our office managers and our administrative assistants in the district office. And for all the functions that they're doing, it's going really well. And then our team is sending people out to the buildings or to the users when they're running reports or some things that are new that they're not exactly sure how to do it. Some of them caught on right away. It's going really well. Others, we're having our staff go and work with them side by side, and they've really liked that. Also helps us see kind of what people's processes are. So that's been really good. And then some of you know, Nancy, who helped us with payroll last year, she's been coming and also doing double checks and triple checks. And that's been really helpful. I think she'll be back this week. Yeah, Thursday. Okay. Also wanted to just alert you to an opportunity to be engaged with community and parents. We're getting ready. Brian is facilitating a process for input from the community on student success. All the work that we're doing for students. It will also include the data so it shows what data we look at, and then they'll talk about all of the programs and processes we're doing to address the issues that we might see. And so there'll be more to come about that. We'd love to have board members participating, and we've had many students and staff members participating on the in-district process. And did we have a board member on that one? Yes, that's right. Sitting right next to me. Sometimes I forget which processes each person's participating in. And then also wanted to let you know, because this is another invitation for the board, we have been training cohorts on Peace Learning Circles, which is a process. Actually, when we did introductions in the tonight for our dinner, is just one little example of how that works, but the opportunity to build community and to build community through inclusion, helping students know and build confidence to influence, and then to the stage of community. Our second cohort that participated the first week in December has asked if they could come and demonstrate to the board what some of those strategies look like, and they would like to have the board participate in the circle activities with them. So we suggested that maybe the February work session would be a good time to do that. So that's just a heads up, more to come. We have a lot of people who've signed up to be on a district committee about that, as well as to help develop training. And then we also have two of our very long standing and experienced EAs who are looking forward to helping develop training for all of our classified on that as well. So people are excited about that. And that's all for tonight.
Up next, we have the finance office update.
The most exciting report of the evening. So first, you should have all received the financial report. We report quarterly. So the information is July 1st through the end of December. And as a reminder, this is unaudited information. A couple of things to note is on the first line under resources are our property taxes. You'll notice that we are well over 50% collected for the year. And that's because property taxes, for all of you who pay property taxes, know you pay them in November and December, and that's when we get the bulk of our payments for that line item. We have the budget balance left to collect is $300,000, and we will get that before the end of June. So our property taxes are right on schedule. The other items to note are down in the expenditures, our personnel cost, which is the first line item under expenditures by object. You'll notice that those are less than 50%, even though we're 50% halfway through the year. And that has to do with how we pay our staff. Teachers are paid, or teachers and other staff are paid starting in September, so we don't have a lot of payroll in June and July. And by the time we end the year, that will even out. Teachers who are K-12 checks get three checks in June. So that will always be a little bit off of the percentage of the year. But it is on track for where we would expect it to be. Everything else, all the other line items are as they are expected and are in line with where we were last year. Could also have had some graphs attached to your report. So those of you who don't like to look at numbers, you can look at the graphs. And they're just a reflection in graph format, these line items. And that is all I had to report on the actual financials of where we are, if there are no questions. Perfect. I will mention that with our ESSER funds this year, and there will be another supplemental budget coming in February, that we had ESSER money that we didn't use last year that we're going to be able to carry over this year that we didn't anticipate. And part of what we're going to use that money for is to put a new roof on our Lincoln building. And yeah, and the bids have come in for that. So you'll see that coming up, and we'll have to submit that request to the state to let them know that's how we want to use the ESSER money. And once they approve it, we'll be good to go. So Matt's on top of that, and we're eagerly anticipating an no-leak roof at Lincoln. The other thing, and Yvonne touched on this, is our conversion to the new software. I did send an email out today to all staff, kind of giving them an update of where we are. We have started using the accounts payable side of it. So that's requisitions, purchase orders, starting in mid-December. We went live with that mid-December, and we did our first vendor paycheck run last week, and checks printed. So yay, and that process went very well. And it's also, Yvonne mentioned, Tyler Tech has been very supportive. And when Alicia was doing her first paycheck run, they were online and walked through the whole process. And we were able to problem solve a few little glitches along the way. So that went very well. We did one day training with office managers on the requisition processing part of it. And then two different sessions with administrators. And I think everybody is doing really well in the system. There are some things to work out, but overall we're getting vendors paid, and staff buildings are ordering supplies. So we're good there. For payroll, we did run a concurrent payroll in December with November's payroll, and we found some errors that needed corrected, and we corrected those. And then we also had another consultant working with us that ran a full payroll in our provisional data, and everything looks like it's working. And Thursday we'll be running a concurrent payroll with our December payroll and comparing each person's pay side by side with each month. And we are not anticipating any big problems with that. So January 25th will be regular payroll day. We'll be issuing checks out of the new system. And for staff, nothing's really changing. If they have direct deposit, they'll get direct deposit. If they have manual checks, they'll get a manual check. The one thing that is different is the way that the voucher and everything will look. Everything will be on there. It's just, things have been moved around a bit. So we are very excited to get that going, and we are already but realizing efficiencies with the new system. So we're really, really anticipating going full live with all of our processes. And I think that's all I have to report. Welcome.
Up next, the school board proclamation. I'm assuming I'm not doing this one.
I'll read this one,
Thank you.
because I do really appreciate all of you. And Bohemia Elementary School, they have written you some notes on that red poster, so make sure you take a look at it. And we enjoyed having you for dinner. I hope that was a great first opportunity for you to get to just speak informally with our administrators, and we'll do do another one. Okay. School Board Recognition Proclamation. Whereas school boards create a vision for what students should know and be able to do. Whereas school boards establish clear standards for student performance. Whereas school boards ensure that student assessments are tied to established standards. Whereas school boards are accountable to the community for operating schools that support student achievement. Whereas school boards align school district resources to ensure that students meet standards. Whereas school boards create a climate that supports the philosophy that all children can learn at high levels. Whereas school boards build collective relationships based on trust, teamwork, and shared accountability. And whereas school boards are committed to continuous education and training on issues related to student achievement. Now, therefore, we hereby declare our appreciation to the members of the South Lane School Board and proclaim the month of January to be School Board Recognition Month. We urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members in preparing today's students for tomorrow's world. Adopted this 8th day of January, 2024. Thank you.
The next one, and I don't know who's taking this one, is the South Lane Parks and Recreation District.
I am Taylor.
Okay.
So this is one of those items that isn't up for a vote or recommendation to the board. It's just something that will be of interest to the board. And so I wanted to give you an update of what's happening and where things are with regards to a local group that is meeting to propose a South Lane Park and Recreation District. I provided you all with the slides that may be put up on the screen soon, but if not, I will talk through them with you. But you were provided the slides. But again, I am not sitting here before you to say this is what I hope happens. This is what I don't hope happens. I'm passing along some information from the group of which I'm a part, to both as a personal citizen, but also to look after the needs and the resources of the district. So the process, just to kind of give you some information, the process, there it is. Oh, wait. Yeah, let's go back to the next slide. Thank you. So this just gives you a little bit of information, but in a nutshell, we always are in need of more recreation and educational opportunities for our students and our families. And so that is one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that we were a part of this process to see if this is something that's viable for our community. We run into constantly as we work with the city, with South Valley Athletics, and with others to try to coordinate gym space, field space. And there are other resources in the community that all different people are involved with, and having a concerted, consolidated effort to serve our community and our families is something that is exciting. The next slide. The committee, what the committee has done so far is, as you can see there, is touched base with some different organizations, as well as worked with an outside consultant to guide us through the process. The thing to understand that I didn't understand before a few months ago is that in order to form a district, you need a boundary. Okay. And the boundary that the group chose to use is the same boundary as the school district. And then in order to even get to the point where you can go ask voters there to vote yay or nay on that, you need to have any municipality that is a part of that area needs to approve that. So there are two municipalities in our district. There's the city of Cottage Grove, and there's also the county. And so both of those municipalities would have to approve of that going forward for it to go forward. if they were to approve that, and I think that's one of the things that they're talking about at the school, at the city council meeting tonight. If that were to go through that process, then this committee would then talk to would do another survey. They've already done one survey, and in this packet, it talks about what they found out on the survey. If that approval is given, then it would go to, there would be another survey to really gauge exactly what folks would want to see in that rec district. And it would be a bigger effort than the consolidated survey before. And then signatures would need to be gathered, and then it would go on the November ballot was the goal of that committee. Next slide, Tanya. Thank you. This is just some of the survey results. I won't go through all of these. There was some support. As you can see, there over 57% of respondents supported the creation of a district. The devil's in the details, though, and so there are still questions that need to be answered before I would feel comfortable really coming to you and telling you exactly what the effect on district programs and facilities would be. But there's a lot to still be decided. But on the next slide, it does show you some things that we know would be benefits, and that's why we're involved in this process. Improved coordination for facility use, payment for use and maintenance of the facilities and fields, and more programs for our students, which are all positives. There also could be other positives that, again, we don't know all of the details yet, but increased involvement by the rec district with our pool, integrated scheduling of facilities, and then any joint projects that we could do together to improve our facilities. A couple of things to point out, always, whenever you're talking about something going to the voters, compression or non-compression comes up. We do know that this wouldn't cause compression for the school district. It may cause compression, it doesn't cause compression for the city either. There may be a compression issue with the fire district. And so that's other information that we'll provide you with later on down the road so that you can know what's going on there. And what that would cause for our school district. And again, I'm no expert on compression, but it's the amount of tax that can be levied. And what no compression means that we wouldn't lose any money, but that doesn't say how much, like if we were to go out for a bond in the next 5 to 7 years, it doesn't speak to what we could do. And that's something we definitely have to look at in the next several months. If that were something, if this is still moving forward, it's definitely something that we'll need to look at. But this group is the next thing that they'll be doing is going to the city council, like I said today, to talk to the city council and to gain their approval, and conduct additional surveying, like I said, continue to meet with stakeholders and talk to the community about what this would mean. And then if it were to go to ballot, it would go to the ballot in 2024, November of 2024. Again, this is, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just wanting to keep you apprised. There are times where we just come and tell you information that isn't necessarily specifically about our programs of the district, but because we're all stewards of both the funds and the facilities of the district, I thought that you would want to know kind of where that committee sits.
Very much so. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about money and competing interests, competing good interests in our community. Yeah.
And that was a term I wasn't familiar with at all. So thanks for including the explanation.
Yeah, I simplified it for both your and my benefit because I'm not, I don't know, that's not something that I know as well as Celia and other folks, but that's the simplified version. So
thank you. All right, moving on to policy BDDH. So we've had the first read on this. And I will say that the usual process for this is that the policies come to us once on the first read. We should all have read them before the meeting and outlined any concerns or questions we might have discuss them at the meeting, make any changes if there are to make them, and then at the second reading, which was tonight, it's supposed to be done and pretty much just approve or not. But that's not where we're at, so I guess, Dwayne, since this was your initiative, request to bring up.
Well, I'll start. So yeah, we get the first read, but just to clarify for people that aren't familiar with what we do, we get that on Thursday in an email, and we may not open it depending on where we're at or where we work till Friday. And you've got the weekend and you got family and such, and then you've got the meeting on Monday. So if normally you take something and read it, you may not catch on to something or be able to read the entire thing. I mean, the thing is huge. It's the entire policy, and you can see there's a lot of changes. So anyways, so yeah, I was here last meeting. We did a read on it. I went back home and I read through it. I talked to some folks. I read it again and talked to some folks and read it again and took it to work and read it again. And I have some concerns. So my first concern is that this was last updated on June 12th of 2023. And as someone stated at the last meeting, there was some language in there that I think it was OSBA attorneys recommended we take out, like limiting folks to speak 2 times per year on the same topic. That was a red flag for me. And then I started asking myself a lot of other questions. So my main concern is I wasn't a party. I wasn't on this board. Tina wasn't on this. Murphy and Mr. Tucker were not on this board when this was created. And this, I'm assuming, because I wasn't here, was evolved out of a work meeting, correct? Or was this just a committee? So we weren't here.
All of the policies, yes.
Right, so we weren't here, so I was thinking that it would be proper to have a work session where the 3 new members could sit down and go through it, each part of the policy, and understand why things were stricken, why things were highlighted, and why things were changed. To better understand it, since we're voting on it, and we're changing policy. And so it just makes sense that we have an opportunity to sit here amongst ourselves and have a conversation amongst us all to express our concerns and maybe make further changes before we make it official.
Are there specific concerns that you have now?
Well, I mean, that would be something we would discuss in a work session. We're really not prepared to do that here today. Like I said earlier, my intent was to take it off of the consent agenda and then take it to a work session. And so we could have, so I have a concern for, I'll just name one of them. There are, well, first, okay, you want to talk about concerns? Concerns are, we add stuff here and the attorneys recommend we take it off. That's, so I wonder, I would trust that if there was more that they were concerned with, they would ask us to remove that as well, but
right, that was one line and it's been stricken.
So it's the petition, the portion that talks about petitions, where it says petitions may be accepted at any board meeting. No action will be taken in response to a petition before the next regular meeting. Petitions will be referred to the superintendent for consideration and recommendation. That entire part has been stricken so that the members of the public may submit written comments or materials, and I'm assuming materials are petitions to the board at any
material, yes.
Right. To the board at any time at the district office by mail or by email to the district. Materials or comments submitted. If they're submitted at least 72 hours in advance, they will be provided to us at the current board meeting, but not read at the board meeting. So, and then it says written materials or comments submitted may not warrant action by the board. So there's value. I think there's value to us and value to the members of the public when they're able to come in and sit here and present something to us on the record in front of their community. It's transparency is really what that is. I don't see any harm in somebody coming up in a public, I guess they would do it in a sign up for public comment. They would come up, say, I'm presenting this petition to the board, and then we accept it. It's clear that there's no discussion, no action will be taken in response to the petition as the policy currently reads. So I don't see any value. I don't really see any reason to remove that. So maybe if you want to start this discussion, we can discuss it now. What's the value in removing that part of the policy and making it so they have to walk in here They may work a full-time job Monday through Friday, email, they may not be technology, they may not have an email. I mean, that's probably far and few between, or want to mail it in. Maybe they don't have the means to mail it in. Maybe they don't have the money to mail it in. I don't know. You can shake your head and roll your eyes all you want, but that's a fact. I'm just,
But like in particular, the resolutions that
Mhm.
those were updated and then policy updated in October of 2021. We had taken so long in our policy,
Mhm.
we had updated. the policy.
So we had an update and we
But-
had an additional update. And I assume that this.
but I have the policy. I have the policy as it currently reads on the website, downloaded this afternoon, that does speak on petitions. So,
Mhm.
so that is the current standing policy, and we're prepared here to vote, or we were prepared here to, in the consent agenda, just to vote to change it so that it's gone. And so that's one of them. If we're prepared here to discuss all my concerns and all our concerns that we may or may not have, then we could start with that one. Or we can take this to a work session where I think it's more appropriate, where we have time allotted for it and I can be prepared.
The issue really is that we have a very limited number of work sessions and we've already been set back on our schedule for the year because of things that happened early in the year. So we're behind on business that we need to do. Now, the way this is normally done is, as I described, you get a first reading, we talk about it in the meeting, we come back for a second reading. Right?
I clarified that I got this stuff on Thursday. I may or may not have opened it till Friday, maybe busy during the weekend and the holidays, and came to a meeting on Monday after I had worked all night. And so I come to a meeting, I just might have just looked over it, read it. We weren't voting on anything. Took it home. And so at what point after I left the meeting last time and this meeting was I supposed to do something about it?
So, for the future, that is the process. And the reason for that is because if we were to take a work session for every single policy that we update in that enormous tone, we would not be able to get through all of that, much less the rest of it.
I understand that, but how much time have you put into this change of this policy in itself alone? How many hours do you think? How many meetings? It was March. I read March and June's meetings consumed a lot of time in it.
Mhm.
So what's the, if I'm concerned about it and other folks are concerned about it, what's the harm in spending one more meeting?
Okay, well,
We could always add a work session.
You gotta turn your microphone on.
well, I guess, how do other members feel about the notion of having another work session just on this one document?
My concern is that you're gonna have you've got questions that I want to get those answered for you. And so my suspicion is you ask the questions at a work session and then we're gonna have to go back to OSBA to get clarification. And then we'll have to come back. So it's not just like a one time. If you have the concerns, maybe we get those tonight and then we can run those by OSBA and speed the process up just a little bit more.
Another suggestion would be that, and that's a good one, don't get me wrong. But another one would be that OSBA is the organization that helps us with these policy rewrites. And they're available to board members to
Mhm.
help explain things exactly like this. So
Mhm.
perhaps you could discuss this with an OSBA representative. And then if you still have questions after that, maybe bring them up to the superintendent and the board chair.
Okay, good idea. I could do that. We could just not do anything with it tonight and then put it on the next agenda and then I could do that. I just wonder what role OSBA has in striking the entire, are they doing this across the state of Oregon? Or is there a problem with submitting it?
Presumably, yes, but you'd have to ask them.
We don't know. Nobody asked that question.
So I've been through the policy rewrite with OSBA in 3 different districts, actually 4 when I wasn't a superintendent. And generally what they do is read them for any changes in the law or language in the law. They also read them for sometimes the statements might not sound as clear, and they've come up with a clearer way of make it understandable. So they give it to us in a committee that has board members on it. We consider it. Most of it is just language changes. It doesn't necessarily change what we do, but the things that change what we do, we bring to the board, we discuss them. That was done in 21. And this board was comfortable with everything except where they added that one line. And we were ready to move forward, just so you can understand the process on this policy. Then we ran it by our attorneys and they said, we don't recommend this. OSBA hadn't recommended it. And so we said, well, OSBA has attorneys who help us. We'd asked another attorney, both didn't recommend it. So we
For the
pulled it
record,
out.
I support that being changed. Yeah.
So that is why, mostly why we brought it last meeting was about that line, because we had discussed all of the rest. Tanya and I are happy to facilitate an opportunity to go over every policy if that's helpful to you. But that's why we use a committee, because we can't possibly do a work session on all of them. Even the ones where we had changes of practice, we brought the committee members on the board, brought those to the board and said, we're making it transparent. This does change our practice, and this is why we're recommending this. So that happened over 2 years. It normally happens over one. Was it more than 2 years? Because of COVID. And so it got stretched out. And so I think that's the other thing you're probably hearing is the frustration of how long all of this has taken. We're happy to facilitate that. It works best if you check in with Tanya and I, let us know what your questions are. We can get those answered. And then if you want to talk about there being a problem with that, then you can bring that to the board. But to discuss all the language and why it's there, even I don't remember, and I was there for every single one. And a lot of it, like I said, if you read where the language is struck and where there's shaded part, a lot of times it's just making it clearer. So I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying about the petitions. I believe only because we checked today to see what's the difference with the petition. And basically what they said, a petition is the same thing as any other kind of letter. So that's why they took it out and put it all in written comment,
Okay. Can I comment?
according to the law.
Right. So yeah, I see a lot of language change. I see some that I'm okay with, some that I'm concerned with, how that looks from the outside looking in, if that matters. I see stuff that was stricken because the lawyers don't like it. But I also things that were outright changed. And so if petitions are the same as somebody sending in a letter, nothing prevents that person from writing the letter and coming here and reading their letter that they would normally mail in if they were, let's say, home or off work that day. So I just don't see any reason why our policy would then prohibit somebody from choosing to come here and sit at that table and handing over a petition, just like they would hand over a letter. So if the argument that you're using is correct, that it's no different, then it should be no different. So I don't have a problem at this point leaving the language that we changed in there, but also still allowing the folks to do it here in public. That's really.
I believe in reading it that way. It just means that they're no longer reading a petition as something different, as you said. So as it reads, I don't think it prevents.
Okay, so if somebody came in and sat down,
They can still,
they can still read.
let me ask the chair, because it'd be his decision. If somebody came and sat down at this table, if we passed this and wanted to present a petition to the board, then would you accept it?
I have no reason why not. The one caveat is, of course, we do not and cannot by law hear complaints about any individual person associated with the district.
but that would be in a document, you could submit whatever you wanted. You just couldn't read it out loud if it named someone by, it made someone.
Right, well, that's a whole other policy.
Yeah, you can
Right.
say, I have a
Exactly.
petition here, I submit it.
Yeah.
As
So I
long as
just-
you don't get into saying things about individual.
And that's a whole nother policy. So I just really don't see a reason why we'd strike that out. And so do you understand where I'm coming from? When I see things struck out and I'm hearing folks say, well, it doesn't really matter, then it's kind of like, well, why are we striking it out? And we're trying to save paper, trying to save ink. I don't know. So like I said, I will come up with my questions if that would be okay. Ask Tanya, ask superintendent, ask you, but maybe reach out to OSBA and then have something prepared for the next meeting. If we could put it off. I'm not prepared to vote on this. As it is today, I would vote no. Because of those
Okay.
concerns.
Um,
So I
It
guess I
is-
would make a motion, Member Taddy makes a motion to revisit this agenda item at the next meeting for action, possible action.
okay.
I'm new to this, so I don't know if that's,
That seems reasonable. We have a motion to postpone this item. Is there a second?
They can't speak that one.
Yeah, okay. So we have a motion and a second on postponing item BDDH until our next regular meeting. Discussion? That's when we would be open and voting on it, yes.
Not our work.
Right. That's true.
I think we'd have to comply with that because the lawyers have made it clear that we don't limit folks to speak, so that's probably wise to not follow the policy. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, right. You're right, though. You're right. It's a good question. But, right.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on the motion, all in favor of postponing BDDH until the next regular meeting, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed?
Hi.
Nay.
Well, let's
Aye.
make this clear, so.
Okay,
Just for the record.
so I heard definitely 2 opposed and 3 in favor, and I didn't catch. Okay, so with that, the motion carries. And we will revisit BDDH at the next meeting.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to business action items. The first one up is the ELD curriculum adoption, and that's Jeremy.
Hello. So in the board packet, there were 2 pages, and both of these items tonight that I'll speak about do require action. So I wanted to give you the background on those and see if, as a board, you could take action on those. The first one is the curriculum for our English Language Development or ELD program. And as I've mentioned before, we have a myriad of changing populations in our district that come with significant challenges. We've done a lot of work over the last couple of years to change our approaches, add more resources and support for those students. One of the things that we did was look at and purchase new curriculum. In that process, one step that we missed was coming to you as a board to inform you about that and get your official approval for it. So in the board packet, it listed out the steps that we took, very similar to all our normal curriculum adoptions. We researched, we spoke with consultants, we brought a teacher team together and looked at the different options, created pros and cons lists, and determined which was the best solution for our situation. So we did go through that last year and chose a program at each the elementary, the middle, and the high school level, and those were listed in your board packet there. They happen to all be of the same publisher, which is National Geographic Learning, which does a lot of work in this area for English language development. And so this tonight is just to ask for your approval of that curriculum that we have chosen. So any questions or any further information?
I was wondering how the ELD, especially since we're, I forgot what the term is, but having the ELD students in the regular classrooms, and combining them. So how do you blend the ELD curriculum with the
Yeah, good question. So with the co-teaching model that we're currently doing at elementary, our students that are getting language services, for the most part, are mainstreamed into the regular classroom for most of the day. We do have a small portion of students that may be recent arrivers and due to their very limited English proficiency may still have that pull-out opportunity available at the elementary level. And so this would be curriculum that we're using with those students that are getting those pull-out services. And then at our secondary level, both at middle school and high school, those services are not integrated yet into the regular classroom as fully as they are at elementary. So they have a separate period during their day where they are getting specific ELD services, and that's where this curriculum is used. So there's, because of that model, to answer more succinctly, because of that model, there is a shorter span of time where we need that curriculum at the elementary level, but it is still used for a small portion of students. And then at the secondary level where we haven't yet integrated, it's used in the traditional way we have in the past.
I add one thing. Right now, we have ELD students in the ELL program for the most part at Bohemia in our magnet program, but it's quite possible that parents choose to keep their students in a neighborhood school. We would still need to provide the ELD services, so we would need the curriculum for them as well.
All right, so this is an action item. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Passes unanimous. And now early literacy success.
Great. So this one is in reference to a set of funds that the state of Oregon has put aside for a specific purpose related to early literacy. So there's a lot of documentation that we had to fill out in order to apply for these funds. They're non-competitive grant, which means if we put our application in and we follow all their guidelines, then we're pretty much approved to get that money. In order to do that, we do need board approval of the proposal. So the proposal consisted of 3 different parts. There were 2 different documents that required some narrative questions around how we currently are serving students in early education and the type of curriculum we're using, interventions that we're using, and then also a document that listed out all of the pieces that we're using as well as the financial use of the funds. This is very helpful because a lot of the things that they laid out in terms of their guidelines that we have to report on are things that we were already doing as a district. And part of the providing districts with this money is that the state wants to make sure that we're following best practices. So even if we're not using the money for a particular component like curriculum, they still want to know that we're using curriculum that is research-based, shown to be effective, and has input from all of our staff. So we went through and completed that application. The application was actually due today, so I couldn't submit it with the board approval since we had our meeting tonight. So the state has asked us to submit that grant, which I already did back in December. And then once we have board minutes showing approval, we'll submit that. And then in early February, we find out if we get the funds or if there are some changes that they want us to make to the plan in order to be able to get those funds. Again, it's a non-competitive grant, so they usually work with us back and forth if there's something missing in order for us to get those.
How much will it
It ends up being, thank you, per year, correct, Celia? 1.5, maybe 1.7 of our literacy coaches. So the way that we wrote our proposal is that we would fund, although there's a variety of places you can use the money, it's simple for us, and we already have the best practice of having literacy coaches at the elementary level that have been impactful for us. And so we're going to use those funds to support those positions.
Thank you. Again, this is an action item.
I move that we approve the grant.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have the board operating agreement. And this was something because the last time there was all that discussion over one word. And we weren't able to get consensus, so my suggestion is that hopefully we can get through this without spending a lot of time or a great deal of discussion. But The notion is to change the word will to should, and then hopefully we can unanimously agree. And again, we would need a motion on.
I make a, member Taddy makes a motion to change the word from will to should.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
I mainly brought this up, Mr. Chair, because you had said that it would be a shame if everybody didn't sign. And I agree with you. It's a shame that not everybody was able to sign. And also, you had said that it had always been signed. But mostly because you said it would be a shame if we didn't sign it. And so I think I found a way that I could sign it, which was the original reason, was to change it. So I thank you for the second, and looking forward to a unanimous vote.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the
Thank
motion
you.
carries unanimously, and that means that we will all need to sign a fresh copy with the one word changed. At whatever point we can do that.
Thank you.
And that is the end of our business for the evening. January 22nd is our next work session. Next regular session, February 5th. February 15th, parent community event on student success. 20. That's been postponed. Okay. So not February 15th. February 26th, special session, and March 4th is the next regular session.
Do we know what our work session is gonna be on this month?
It's on, progress on our goal.
Right, this is the evaluation. It's evaluation time. And so with that, board member reports. Tammy, let's start with you this time.
Oh, I just survived.
I survived the holidays and that's all I have to report.
Okay, Tina, would you like to go next?
Yeah, mine's a little more complicated than that because I have put my house up for sale, and so I will no longer be living here in this district. So I am turning in, this is my formal I'm formally notifying the board that I'm resigning as school board district board member. My last day is today, Monday, January 8th, 2024. I want to thank the citizens of South Lane District for the confidence in voting me into this position. Unfortunately, I've decided it is best for me to live closer to the activities and doctors that I frequent, so I'll no longer live in the South Lane School District. I know that I have no legal ability to help pick the person who the board will appoint to replace me. I do think it would behoove the board if they would pick someone who represents similar values to myself. That would show the South Lane School District citizens that you respect their wishes when they voted me onto the board. A suggestion would be to ask someone like Sherry Yoss for her recommendations. She knows the community and cares to see the schools flourish in wholesome ways. I want to thank the members of the board for an insightful glimpse into the workings of a school board. I offer my prayers that you can work together to bring about the needed changes for the good of all students.
Nice working with you. I should have added that they have to sit next to me, so I get the balance. Nice sitting next to you. It was nice sitting next to you. I wish you luck in your endeavors.
Nice working with you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina, and good luck. I've been really impressed with the way you've jumped in with both feet and really done a lot to understand the job and the role. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your commitment.
Who knows, I might do something up there.
Yeah, you can use it up another day.
Right.
Joe, would you like to go next?
Oh, we're mixing it up, huh? I'll turn my microphone off. I was ready to talk.
Equity and all that.
So I would like to just say, I was really impressed with the staff at the Cottage Grove High School last Tuesday night. varsity basketball game going into the third quarter, 2 or 3 minutes into it, where Cottage Grove was playing Phoenix, which was a very well coached and had a lot of talent on that team, where a young man went down and had a very bad accident. And I want to say hats off to Mr. Bridgens, because he was right there. He was right on the phone with 911, getting the EMTs there. Jared Hutchinson getting out there, covering the kid's leg with a towel, it was pretty bad. And, I think the staff, but what impressed me the most was at the end of them loading this young man up onto the gurney, and that was a couple of our kids went over there and engaged that kid, which really touched me. That being said, I say it all the time, but our kids are representing South Plains School District very well. And so I really appreciate that. I did get to watch the main event, and Hayes, that was awesome. That was amazing. You played Elf very well.
All right, is that it?
That's all I have.
Oh. Okay, Sherry, would you like to go next?
So I just have a couple of comments. We're going to start negotiations. We need to have a board member on that team for sure, or two, but we need to do that. And we need to discuss what our strategy is. So at some point we need to have an executive session. I read the news clippings from OSBA, and they were talking about showers in schools and washing machines, in order to wash the clothes. So at some point, I'd like to have a report on which schools we do support kids like that. And then another thing that came up we see it in the paper is all the free and reduced breakfasts and lunches. We do that, don't we? Could you give a report on how many meals we are serving to our kids? And then I think something that dropped off of this was, did we not at the end have where the board could talk about agenda items they would like to have put on the?
Yeah.
So we need to have that put back on the.
Okay, it's still part of it, whether it's standing or not.
Yeah.
The items we have on file. Okay.
But if we see it there, I think it needs to be there.
Okay,
That's all I have.
all right. Wayne? Yeah.
I thought I turned it on. There we are. So I was wondering if there was any data from that Youth Truth survey that was sent out in December. Do we have the data for that?
We do have the data for that, or not yet?
January 11th?
So they can have a look at it. And you can have maybe that. Present a summary or not. Oh, okay. Hopefully you can do that.
Okay. February or March. Okay, so the 11th and 19th, and then something coming out to us in February or March, huh? Okay. Small thing, on the 15th of December, I received an email from Superintendent Yvonne regarding social media. And I responded to you, and I know you were on break, but I haven't received a response back yet. So I figured I'd ask you here. Was a request that I refrain or be cautious and refrain from engaging in posts that include district staff members. And I was wondering if that was posts about staff members or any post where staff members were also a party to commenting.
I would prefer.
Okay. Okay. So there's nothing in here. You're not asking me to be cautious or refrain from engaging in a post where other posts, where staff members are commenting.
Well, of course, I would say be cautious and ensure that it's appropriate, respectful, all of that, because any of that creates a risk situation.
I was just asking what kind of post, a post about a staff member or a post that included, or a staff member makes a post and I comment or something like that. So I wasn't clear. Maybe you could clarify that in an email for me.
I can. I
Okay.
guess I hadn't even really thought through all the
Okay,
possibilities.
let me know.
I just
hear it.
had been made aware
Okay.
that there was a post. I don't
know what you're
post. I
talking.
don't
Yeah,
see
my
anything.
response to you on 12/16, the day after you sent it to me on 12/15 was which post are you referring to? And I asked if it was about an incident that I was tagged in. And I said, it's the only one I recall. Please advise. So if you can recall, it's been a month, so almost a month. So, and then, so that's that. And then the other thing, really the big thing is, I think the turnout here today, the people that we saw flow into the building here at 6 o'clock, and the confusion over how many people can sit in this room. And I noticed that the sign back there says 30 and the date on that was September of 2022. So I don't know if that's been updated since COVID, if that has some COVID restrictions or if that's after COVID. Fire marshal, but there was some talk about fire marshal in our community when he was last on the radio, was talking about he hasn't been around to a lot of the buildings where COVID restriction. There was something with COVID in the fire department. They had set some standards, then less people allowed in the room. So I don't know if, during COVID. So I don't know if that number should be increased or has it always been 30? Was it 30? I guess the question I would have is, was it 30 prior to COVID that you recall? Or because something happened in September of 2022 that made it 30, or I don't know if that thing is a certificate or a permit that has to be renewed every year, but something happened in 2022 that piece of paper was replaced. So I don't know if we reach out to fire department to see if we can put another row of seats in here, or if we can have some people standing in the back, or what we can do, but it's clear to me, and I haven't even seen what it looks like in that back room or what it looked like at 6 o'clock, but I'm assuming they said 40 plus people. I think that sends a message to us that when things arise, that we need to be prepared. And the reasoning that what we were told was that we prioritize dollars to the students, and we were also told that we've always, I think in a Q&A that came out a Q&A that came out, and there's no date on it, but it was addressed to Lindsay and concerned individuals. The last page asks why we have board meetings in a small room with limited access, and it says the first line says the board has always conducted board meetings in the boardroom at the district office. So just because we've always done it here doesn't mean, like somebody said earlier, we should graduate and move up to the next level. I think that what says it here, it says the board has always conducted board meetings. Okay, I don't know who wrote this, but, oh, okay. Okay, so,
I think
I was
room is
there.
a big reason.
Hmm?
Because we have a Zoom camera here.
yeah, well, I can't see the people in that other room, and for me, it's important to see the looks on people's faces, whether you're for or against an issue. It really, for me, I like to see people. I like to see and feel stuff and see people, and so I think it's important. I think there's value in us seeing us when we're speaking, to see people and say hi and say thank you. And when we got people stuffed in a room in the back, there's value in bringing them out. So anyway, I think we should have a committee to discuss making the sides. I don't need to sit behind anything fancy like this. I've watched a lot of school board meetings where people are just sitting at desks, and I sat at a desk for my first meeting. I was bored. So anyways, I'd like to see a committee. I want to thank all the folks that came tonight. I want the administrators that I got to meet tonight. Some of you I didn't meet, and look forward to working with you. And I want to thank all the folks that came down here and were sitting in that back room, and apologize that the audio wasn't perfect, but give it up to Jesse and staff for getting us these cool microphones at the start. And now we can work on some cameras and maybe getting everybody together in the same room. It's better to have a bigger venue and not need it than it is to not have the room to put people in, because it just creates tension, and we don't need that. We don't need any more tension. So with that, let's see. No. Yeah, and I know that it was that we prioritized money to the classroom, but we also spent a lot of money on other stuff, and I'm sure we can find some money somewhere to put some tables up and some chairs, and we've got the microphones now, and speak louder and somehow hook this into some kind of PA, that a couple speakers. We can make it happen. We can do this, team. We can do this, team. That's all I have. I'm done.
All right. Colleen.
I survived the holidays too. And I wanted to thank the food service folks for providing our dinner this evening. It was really good, and I want to give them a shout out. And hi, administrators. I want to connect with more of you. I didn't get to chat with as many people as I wanted to, so I would love to be able to see you guys on a more regular basis. That would be really great to hear from you what's going on and what's happening and what we need to be doing. And I just want to send out my wishes to all the kids and staff in the district that the new year starts off well. And I hope that it's a really productive end of the school year, half, whatever it is, before two-thirds. I know it goes faster every year. And welcome to our new student representatives. And I'm so excited to have all of you guys here. Yay. Thank you so much. That's it.
And actually, I didn't give any of the student representatives a chance to say anything else if you would like to. No pressure. You've given reports already. If there's anything else you want to add, you're welcome to. And if you don't, that's fine too. Okay, that sounds like it's my turn. So the chess team has 8 players now, solid, which is great. That's 1 or 2 more than we've had the last few years. The official season has started. Preseason is over. We did not win our first match, unfortunately, but the kids are learning and doing well, and I've already been beaten 3 times this year, so that's great. That's a good sign for the team. And then he's new. So New Year's Eve, I went to the Holt Center. They had a symphony going with a local musician who's a friend of a friend. And I ran into Connie Wanham from Lincoln Middle School, who was apparently on the symphony board. So that was wonderful. And then the singer's partner, who's was in a band with my good friend, went up and talked to him for a little bit, and he works at Lane ESD. And I said, oh, you guys have been doing some work with us. I know you've met Devon, so on and so forth. And the very first question out of his mouth was, do you have these, and this was his term, culture warriors, coming to your board meetings and protesting? That was the first thing he wanted to know. And I was, kind of like, the work you've been doing with the district, it would be great if we could, support that and see more of it. And I definitely got the impression that he and the people he works closely with are less inclined to come give our kids services because of some of the things that have been going on in our meetings. And that's not good for kids. So I was really surprised that was the first thing out of his mouth. And after that, we had a really good conversation, mostly not about school type stuff. But I was just really surprised by that was the thing that was foremost on his mind. And he talked about being targeted as a ESD employee. That was really kind of.
What kind of stuff did you provide to the students? What kind of stuff did you provide? What kind of stuff did you provide to the students? What kind of service?
I believe he's with SEL, but I knew him in a personal capacity, so I haven't talked to him too much about what his job stuff is. I just thought it was remarkable that was topmost on his mind. So, yeah, let's all do our best to get along and do as much as we can for kids, because that's what it's really all about. So, thank you very much.
I have something now. So we had an ESD meeting the day after New Year's.
Uh-huh.
And we did have a presentation from the Native American Studies.
Mhm.
And they have done some work at Kennedy. And I noticed when we went to graduation last year, how proud the natives, American natives were. And I did not realize that the ESD had done those studies, and they really like coming to Kennedy. I think that's really good. And also, when we're going to talk about a process for replacing Tina.
That should be at the next meeting. You know, the process is that we put out applications, and then I believe they are interviewed by the board, and the board selects appoints a replacement. And the last time we did this, I presume this happens every time, we appointed a person with the understanding that they would run in the next election if they were eligible for it.
I did, yeah, we have to, the position, if it's filled before 60 days before I think it's the filing of the next election, regardless of it, because her seat's up in 27, but we have an election for the 25 seats for Sherry, you and Colleen, that it would be put on that ballot. And so
Possibly.
you would
I'll
ask
have
that
to look that
person
up
to
for sure.
yeah. So you'd ask that person to, because they wouldn't fill her seat for the duration of the term. The way it's spelled out is what I read, but so you would ask them to commit to running?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
They should at least get a trial if they like it.
I couldn't see, yeah, I really couldn't see like not picking a person or not even considering a person because they won't commit to running. I mean, we're talking like, well, in this case, what I read, we're talking next July. So we're talking a year, a commitment of a year. I committed to more than that. So I see your point, but I hate to throw a good person away that just wants to come in and try it out.
It's all laid out in the policy. I
Okay.
don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
We'll review it and
Okay.
follow it to the letter. All right. And with that, thank you everyone for your time. This meeting is adjourned.